If you ever wondered what would happen if you blend the sultry and exotic vibes of Miami with the freshness and laid-back vibes of San Diego, you get City Rhythms 2654. Come back and I'll tell you why this popular fragrance that's always sold out should be next on your radar. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new video, Smell Good with Jenna. I'm, of course, Jenna. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you're into fragrance reviews, layering combos, and just smelling like you got your life put together, then you know what you got to do. Stay blessed, like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So I know nobody was actually thinking, hey, what if we blended the smells of Miami with the smells of San Diego, and what smell would we get? That's not the case. However, the House of City Rhythm has done a really good job with their fragrances and depicting what different cities may smell like, if you will. So I've talked about Miami and Puerto Rico in my other videos, and essentially, excuse me, Miami, when you think of what Miami might smell like and it puts you in that scenery, you have notes of coconut, rum, tobacco, and that just feels like I should be on South Beach. Whereas something like Puerto Rico, you get the tropics, the different fruits of mango, coconut milk, and etc., etc. So they do a really good job, like I said, giving what a specific city the vibe might be. So 2654, I've heard quite often on social media, and I knew I was interested just because everywhere you turn, people were talking about it. And not only that, it was sold out. If I mentioned this before, that 2654 is the combination or blended fragrances of their popular Miami fragrance and San Diego. So you combine that together, and the distance between the two is 2654 miles. So that's why they named it, which I think is pretty creative. And at least they didn't name it something like Miami Diego. Yeah. Yeah, see, this is why I don't name fragrances. But yeah, this one was super popular, and everywhere I searched, it seems to constantly always sold out. So I eventually found this on Vemba Fragrances, and I had it in my cart. I was in the middle of a kind of a no-buy, so I wasn't sure if I actually wanted to pull the trigger. But then I turn around and then I see the price jumped up. So I found it for a really good price of like $115, let's say. And then all of a sudden I turn around, it's like, I don't know, $140 or what have you. So that was weird. But then again, when I checked, it wound up dropping a little bit. Not to the $115 that I saw it for, but it wound up being cheaper. So I said, you know what? They're playing games right now, so let me just purchase it. And yeah, now we have it. I wound up unboxing it, and I thought it was nice, but I was a little scared just because I didn't get any projection at all when I tested it on my skin. So I was like, you know, I don't know why people are saying this is a beast, but then once I actually wore it out to the wild and let it sit for a couple of months, I started to see, okay, what people were talking about. Okay, so I put the notes on the screen, but some of the main ones that we have are coconut, lime, beechwood, vanilla, blood orange, salt, basically naming every note in here. But those are the notes that we get off the initial spray when you spray 2654. If anybody's familiar with this fragrance, let me know what is the correct way to pronounce it, because I keep saying 2654. I think it's easier that way, but I don't know if it's 2654. Let me know if you're familiar. But off the initial spray, you get the more of a zestiness than with Miami. When you sprayed Miami, it's really sweet and just hits you, and you get that rum and all those notes. This one is dialed back in a lot. You get the coconut and you even get the rum, but it's not as pronounced. Whereas you get then with the San Diego, that saltiness, that almost beach-like vibe to this. And instead of, like I keep mentioning with Miami, I don't have San Diego, by the way, I just have Miami, but that puts you in the club scene vibe. Like, I need to be out on South Beach and hit the hottest club and dance the night away. Where this one is more laid back. This smells like, I guess the laid back vibe could be from the San Diego part. It just reminds me of, I'm wearing this to work and I'm going to go to happy hour after work. So just real casual vibes, but I'm gonna smell good by throwing this one on. Okay, so when am I reaching for this? Obviously in the summertime. This is not going to do well in the winter. Although, again, wear whatever you want in whatever type of seasons. But why would you? The whole point of this fragrance is depicting warmer cities such as Miami and San Diego, being on the beach and all that. So why would you wear this any other time but the summer? But this is, as I mentioned, I keep referencing my Miami fragrance review video, but a lot of people compared Miami to Creed's Virgin Island water, and I highly disagree, just because it has similar notes of coconut, lime, and rum. That one's much more heavier and boozier, where I find Virgin Island water to be more refreshing. However, I can see if someone wanted to compare it to this. Still completely different, but like I said, this is way more dialed back than Miami is with the sweetness and just in your face. So this is what that gives me, where it's laid back. As I mentioned, you're going to a dinner after work, happy hour, casual day, something that I think you can just throw on for the day and keep it pushing and running errands. This is just so laid back and chill. You don't have to do too much. Now, in regards to it being unisex, I think it's perfectly unisex, but I can see why one would think this is a little bit more masculine leaning, because I feel like this line in general gives off the vibe that this is more masculine than unisex, but I disagree. However, I do think a guy would gravitate to this a little bit more, but only from off not knowing what it actually smells like. But when you actually smell it, you get the sweetness and everything that I think would fall under the more feminine leaning side. So with that said, it's a perfectly unisex fragrance that anyone can enjoy. So as I mentioned initially, I was a little nervous with this fragrance just because when I unboxed it and I sprayed it on me, I'll be completely transparent. I just didn't understand the hype. I thought it smelled good, but I'm like, this doesn't even last long. And I sprayed it on my hand just to see if there's just certain fragrances, once you test it out on skin immediately, you're like, oh wow, yeah, this is a good fragrance. But I sprayed it on myself and then it was gone in 2.5 seconds. But I let it sit just because I wasn't ready to wear it, because I felt like it would be perfect for the summer, and I got this a little bit mid-spring. But once I finally decided to wear this, I was like, oh, okay, this is nice. And I still don't even find it completely beastie like, again, Miami, but I can see the longevity and I smelled it throughout the day. So with this one, I got maybe, I want to say 5 to 6 hours, maybe even 4 to 5. I would have to play around with it again, but that's a good portion of the day that I was able, not the full work day, but a good portion of the day. I got a nice little run out of it. In regards to projection, this has gotten more beastly within time, but I think it's really holds close to the skin, specifically when it continues to dry down. So it's not something that people may necessarily smell you in regards to a scent trail, but close enough they'll definitely get a whiff of you. All right, so let's jump into the layering combo. As always, unscented soap. And then since this starts off pretty similar to my Miami layering combo, just because it contains some of the notes of Miami. So I use from Bath and Body Works Waikiki Beach Coconut, just because it has coconut in there. And just when you read the rest of the notes, salt, water, breezes, and sun bleached woods, that gives that beach vibe that it's perfect for 2654. Then after that, I wound up using from Canvas Beauty brand their Body Glaze Key Lime Divine, obviously for that lime note, and then also used the matching body drops for that. I also decided to use from Blanc & Noir Skincare their Double Cream body oil, just because this is like a citrus vanilla, and you have the notes of blood orange in here, you have vanilla in here, so I thought that would be really nice to include into this layering combo. And then I topped it off with 2654. That was the initial. So anytime I wear a fragrance for the first time, I never look to do a full-on layering combo, just obviously so I can see how it performs and I can tell you guys about it. But when I wear it again, I decided to try it out with Lorenzo Pasgaglia's Van C. This is one of the fragrances that I reviewed when the season first started, and this is a beautiful vanillic citrus type of fragrance, a little saltiness. So this is the same vibes essentially. So I decided what better way than to layer these two together, and it's just really, really nice, and it gives me even better projection than wearing these two on its own. So I really enjoyed that layering combo. And the next time I plan on wearing this, I want to try this out with Creed's Virgin Island Water, just because, again, a lot of people find that there's similarities between the two fragrances, and I can see it more than Miami, but this one I can see it, so I want to try this one out as well. In regards to my final thoughts, I think City Rhythm is a house that is going to continue to gain more popularity as time goes on. They have really creative rollouts when it comes to their fragrances, just again depicting different scents for different cities. So I think this one, if you're just looking for something that's pretty unique, well, I can't really say unique just because if it smells similar to Creed's Virgin Island Water, but if you're looking for something that's laid back and, yeah, you know what, unique, right? Because when we think of summer fragrances, you get the fruity tropical fragrances, or the really citrusy fragrances, or the green fragrances. This one is just, it gives a little bit of oomph, even though it's casual and laid back. So I would, if that's your vibe and you want something a little bit different from the usual, I'll definitely check out 2654. And their prices are pretty good retail wise, and on a discounter site you can probably find this for a really good price. So I definitely recommend. And that is my video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you're familiar with City Rhythm or this fragrance. Let me know. Stay blessed. Like, comment, and subscribe. And always remember, the best compliment one can get is that you smell so good.